Hello, everyone. I am John, your facilitator for the evening, and welcome to the National Catholic College Admissions Association and Jesuit Excellence Tour. These virtual panels that you have this evening will help you gain some wonderful information about different colleges around the country and the benefits that they have as well. During this session, we are in a webinar format, which means that we can't see or hear you. So because of that, please put any questions that you have in the Q&A area that you see on the screen below, and they will answer the questions during the panel presentation at the end of the presentation as well. So other than that, sit back and relax and learn some great information from these wonderful institutions. I'm going to turn it over now to our panelists. You all take it over.
Great. Thank you, John. I'm going to share my screen and we can get started with our first little presentation here. Great. So hi, everyone. My name is Olivia. I'm an assistant director of admissions at Emmanuel College. We are right in Boston, which we are definitely going to be talking about today as we talk about, what it's like to be a college student in or near a major metropolitan area. Thank you for joining us. We're each going to do a little presentation, and then we'll definitely have time for Q&A at the end. If anyone has questions, definitely feel free to drop them in the chat. Like I said, my name's Olivia. My email address is right here. The main admissions email for our school is just admissions@emmanuel.edu. So if any questions come up after this presentation or anything like that, definitely feel free to reach out. So Emmanuel is a small Catholic liberal arts college. And like I said, we are right in Boston. There's definitely a difference, between being in like the greater Boston area, which you hear a lot, versus being right in Boston. So we are about a 10-minute walk from Fenway Park. And then right behind us is the Longwood Medical area. So Boston Children's is back there, Beth Israel, Brigham and Women's, some really great hospitals right in our neighborhood. Museum of Fine Arts is right down the street. Isabella Stewart Gardner is right down the street as well. So lots of things happening right in our neighborhood. There's tons of shopping, dining options everywhere. It seems like there's always something going on. Boston's definitely a great place to be a college student. There are tons and tons and tons of college students. It seems like everywhere you look, everywhere you turn in Boston, there is a college. So there's tons of events and activities kind of geared towards people in that age group, which is great. You guys can see just a few little stats here on the side, about Boston's ranking for a few different things. Something I like to point out too is that Boston is really walkable. It's easy to get around by foot. It's not, a super big city in terms of size, in terms of, mileage and things like that. It's really easy to get around. We have our our subway system, which will take you pretty much wherever you have to go. We have 3 T stops right near campus. So like I said, definitely really easy to get around, and explore everything that Boston has to offer. So here is a little bit about Emmanuel at a glance. Like I said, we are on the smaller side. We have about 1,800 undergrad students. We have 16 Division III sports. We have 70 different major minor programs, and those major minor programs are split up into the 5 schools. So we have our School of Business Management, we have our School of Education, Humanities and Social Sciences, we have our School of Nursing, and then Science and Health. On the next slide, it'll have the full list of programs, so you can take a look at those. Our students are really involved. They usually do about 50,000 hours of community service every year, which is a lot for a population of about 1,800. And about 80% of our community will participate in community service. So it's, a big part of our identity, kind of going back to our mission. We were founded by the Sisters of Notre Dame de Namur, and, service and social justice are a big part of that. So that definitely continues on today. You can see a little bit, about Fulbright recipients or students are really involved in research and different things on and off campus. And then another really unique thing we have is that we have 4 years of housing available, which is definitely unique in Boston. Housing is definitely at a premium. We have a very traditional looking campus. There's a lot of green space, and then all of our buildings kind of surround our quad. So you have your academic stuff on one side, and then all the dorms are right next to each other. We have kind of your typical first year, second year housing with doubles and triples and things like that. And then we also have a new residence hall, which is mostly for upperclassmen. That's 18 stories. It's all apartment style. It was opened up a few years ago, so everything's brand new in there, and it's really beautiful. Most of our students are going to be living on campus all 4 years. You never have to live on campus, but the option is there if you want it. About 90% of freshmen are living on campus, and then about 85% of our total student population is on campus. Like I said, Boston is kind of known for colleges. We have a lot of college students, so there's plenty of off-campus housing options as well. If you ever did want to move off campus, there's tons of apartments right next to us and in the Fenway area for sure. So here are all those major minor programs that I talked about. Anything with an asterisk next to it is a minor or certificate program. Everything else is a major. You could do a double major. You could do a major and a minor, 2 minors, kind of whatever you're interested in. You can combine. Class sizes are small. They average about 20 students, per class. And then we have a 13-to-1 student to faculty ratio. So you're going to get to know your professors and your classmates and, really get involved, like I was saying, on and off campus, whether that's, with research or with internships, which I'll talk about in a second. Here's the full list. So in Emmanuel, all of our students are going to complete at least one internship before they graduate. About half our students will do more than one internship. And again, being right in the city makes it really easy to complete these internships. There are so many opportunities for all different types of programs right in our backyard. You guys can see a selection of employers for jobs after graduation and for internships on the side here. Boston Children's is actually our biggest employer of interns and for students after graduation. So that's a big one. We've had students intern and work at, for the Red Sox, for Deloitte, the State House, things like that, all different cool things happening, like I said, right here in the city. Another interesting stat too that I like to mention is about half of our students will do an internship within 2 miles of campus. So again, really easy to get around, and there's a ton happening right in our backyard. Our students are doing really well after graduation too, which you guys can see here. We have employment rate 95% and grad school placement rate 94%. Up on the side is a selection of grad schools as well. Some students are sticking around, in the area, and then some are a little farther away, but they're doing really well after graduation. Again, I think this goes back to 100% internship rate. There's a ton of support from career services throughout your whole time in Emmanuel. So starting your first year, all of our first year students are going to take a course that goes over cover letters, resumes, interview prep, all that good stuff. Make sure everyone feels confident and everyone's on the same page, when it comes to starting to look for internships and jobs and things like that. Everyone's going to get an advisor. So you start off with an academic advisor, just kind of general to help you pick your courses. And then once our students declare their major second semester of sophomore year, you get assigned a faculty advisor from whatever program you're in. So again, making connections, using your professors and your advisors as a resource when it comes to looking for these jobs and internships. They're, a great resource, and our professors are really passionate about working with students. They like having the small class sizes too, and really getting to know you guys, which is nice. So talking about student life a little bit, so we have 16 Division III sports, which you guys can all see right up here. We also have intramural sports and club sports. So we have club field hockey, we have flag football, we have volleyball, all kinds of different things. We have sailing, we have a dance team. There's lots to pick from. This is a good time to mention too that we are in a consortium of colleges. So it's called the Colleges of the Fenway. It's 5 schools, all in the Fenway neighborhood of Boston, hence the name. We're all within about a mile of each other. So again, really close by, easy to get to. So it's Emmanuel, obviously, And then you have Simmons, you have Wentworth Institute of Technology, you have Mass College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences, and then Mass Art and Design. So 5 schools, some of us kind of really specific in certain things, some just kind of liberal arts colleges, so lots to pick from. I bring this up now because we do, a lot of intramural sports together. We do club sports together. You can cross-register courses between the schools really easily. So say, there's a foreign language course you want to take at Simmons, you could totally do that. I know we've had students take art classes at Mass Art. There's a lot to pick from. We have a lot of students come to our campus to take, English courses and history courses because we have such a wide range of options for those. So those are really popular. We do a lot of things together, like I was saying. The population of students within the colleges of Fenway is about 16,000. So you can kind of expand out to your social circle kind of as big as you want. We have a lot of fun activities on campus. We had a block party about 2 months ago now with all the students from the colleges of Fenway. We had it on our campus, like I said, because we have the big green space and they set up all kinds of fun stuff. So it was nice to see everyone all together and, again, just getting to know each other and have fun and meeting more college students from around the city. So like I was saying, we have a ton happening on campus. We have over 100 different clubs and activities. We have academic organizations, there's cultural organizations, there's music opportunities, pretty much anything you can think of. You have kind of your general interest clubs. There's like a Star Wars club, a knitting club, all kinds of stuff. Like I mentioned in one of the first slides, community service is really huge. So again, most of our students are going to be participating in that. It's not mandatory. It's just something that, our students seem to be really passionate about, which is great. This is a good time too to mention study abroad. So we have over 500 different study abroad programs in 65 countries that we can help connect you with. We have a whole office of study abroad on campus who can help you, find a program that's obviously going to be in the location you want, but also have, the courses you need to take. It's going to kind of fit your lifestyle. Do you want to live in a dorm in another country? Do you want to be in your own apartment? Things like that. So they can kind of help you figure that whole process out, help with the paperwork, all those important things. We have travel courses as well. Those are shorter kind of travel experiences, but it's a normal Emmanuel class. You take it on campus, and then over spring break or over summer break for a few weeks, you travel to whatever location correlates to the class. So we know there's a general education English class that goes to Paris. There is a marine biology class that goes to Australia for a few weeks over the summer. There's usually, I think, about 20 different programs, and they rotate them out, so they're always, not the same ones happening every semester. But those are a great way to get involved, and study abroad. If maybe a full semester isn't going to work for you or is not super appealing to you, you can still participate just in a shorter session. And nursing students also have a travel course that they can participate in their junior year. So anyone from any major can participate and study abroad, like I said, if that's something you're interested in. Here are our requirements to apply. Pretty straightforward. We're on the Common App. It's free to apply. Don't have to worry about waivers or anything like that. It's free for everyone. We will get your application essay. We will get your transcripts from all high schools you've attended. We need 2 letters of recommendation, one from a guidance counselor, one from an academic teacher. We need TOEFL score. That's just for international students. So if that applies to you, we'll need that. We are test optional. We've been that way for, years and years now. The only note for that is that we do need test scores for nursing students. So if anyone's interested in nursing, we will need scores for that, but for any other program, we don't need those scores. If you want to submit them and you feel confident in your score, you definitely can, but don't feel like you have to. And then we are doing interviews. Those are recommended, but not required. We're doing those virtually and in person right now. So whatever works best for you, you can sign up for those right on our website. Here's just a little bit of information for transfer students. It's a lot of the same stuff. We just need a few more forms from them. And then here are our dates and deadlines. We have Early Action 1, which is November 1st. We have Early Action 2, which is December 15th. And then we have Regular Decision, which is February 15th. Those early action deadlines are non-binding. You don't have to make any kind of commitment, but the earlier you apply, the earlier you find out, which I think is nice. Here are just a few other important deadlines. So you guys can see up here the deadline for FAFSA. So that's the application for federal aid. So want to make sure that gets done by February 15th. For merit-based aid, which is based on your application, all of our admitted students are considered for merit when they apply. Most scholarships usually range about $10,000 to $28,000 a year, depending on the student. And then FAFSA really ranges, so much person by person. That's the need-based financial aid. So it's based, on personal situation. And like I said, that really varies. But you could get a merit scholarship and need-based aid. You could get one or the other. Again, it all kind of depends person by person. But we're always around at admissions, and same with student financial services. If you guys ever have questions about that, want to meet about that, or just kind of walk through anything, we're always around. And yeah, here is just some contact information. You can see all of our social media handles up here. We're pretty active on Instagram. We also started a TikTok account recently. It's just Emmanuel Admissions. So you can find us on there. And then my contact information, again, is down below. It's just my last name, first initial, at Emmanuel. But thank you guys for hearing my part of the presentation. And I'm going to pass it over to Maria, who's going to talk about Fordham.
Great, thanks, Olivia. I'm going to share my screen and tell you all some of the benefits of Fordham, but in particular, Fordham kind of within the context of our location in New York City. Just going to set a little timer for myself so I can keep a little bit of track. So my name is Maria. I'm one of the admission counselors at Fordham University. We're located in New York. Our tagline is the Jesuit University of New York. And in many ways, we really aim to live out each piece of that tagline, our Jesuit mission, our university and our academic offerings, and New York. So I'm really glad today to be talking about who we are in New York City. So like I said, we have two campuses in New York City. We have our Rose Hill campus in the Bronx, which is the one that's pictured here. You'll see pictures of our Lincoln Center campus as I scroll through this. Our Rose Hill campus in the Bronx is about 80 acres. It's also my virtual background. It's kind of a similar picture. Our Rose Hill campus is about 80 acres, and we're in the Belmont neighborhood of the Bronx. It's about a 25 minute train ride from Fordham University's campus in the Bronx to Grand Central in Manhattan. So it's what many people think of as a very traditional college campus environment. But it's great that it's super accessible to all of the busyness of Manhattan. I'll get into a little bit more about our Belmont neighborhood and some of our neighbors, but also kind of wanted to provide a brief overview of Lincoln Center. So our Lincoln Center campus is 2 city blocks, so a much more compact campus experience than Rose Hill with our 80 acres. And it's located right in the middle of Manhattan. We're located at 60th and Columbus. It's about a block away from the corner of Central Park. And again, I'll talk a little bit more about that location as well. We also provide on-campus housing at both campuses. So there are residential opportunities regardless of which campus you apply to. And students do apply directly to the campus that they are interested in. And most students really just choose the campus based on the environment that they're seeking. So most of our majors are offered at both campuses. So it's not about where students can live on campus or where they can have their major. It's really just about which campus environment they are most drawn to. So these are some of the highlights that I'm going to walk through, just kind of life in New York City, a little bit about on-campus housing, again, our off-campus communities and neighborhoods, and then kind of some transportation information and getting around New York City. So one of the great benefits of going to college in a major metropolitan area that I think a lot of people don't really think about is just the accessibility of airports. Again, Olivia was talking about Emmanuel, which is located in Boston, but there are so many wonderful colleges and maybe some smaller college towns that make for really difficult travel days when going home for the holidays or going for move-in. And New York City is super accessible no matter where in the country or the world that you live. There's 3 major international airports with JFK, LaGuardia, and Newark Airport. Again, not something most people think about, but it's a really great advantage when you're planning, travel home for the holidays, and you're able to choose from a number of different flights and a number of different airports to get from point A to point B. So I mentioned that we have on-campus housing at both of our campuses. This is a view of from one of our residence halls on the Lincoln Center campus. It's kind of overlooking part of the campus. And having on-campus housing within an urban environment, I think, is a really great best of both worlds for so many of our students. So here are 2 examples of our on-campus housing at the Rose Hill campus. So the accommodations are very similar, with the exception of kind of the buildings, like the actual rooms themselves are very similar across our campuses, but the residence halls at the Lincoln Center campus are in more like high rises. So you do kind of have city views, much more kind of urban environment in that way. At both of our campuses, we have a ton of different residence hall programs. So there's a lot to do on campus, a lot of ways to build community on campus. There are laundry facilities, there's cafeterias on both campuses. So there's a lot of great ways that students can really find great environments for them on campus through living on campus. We also do see some students that choose to move off campus. So in both of our neighborhoods, we really have a great student presence through off-campus housing. Students really immerse themselves in our neighborhoods when they choose to move off campus. So a little bit about those neighborhoods. This is a picture of our Lincoln Center campus. So this is a shot of 60th and Columbus, and does a pretty good job of kind of depicting the busyness of this intersection in particular. There's a bus route that goes right past it, tons of cabs going past it. And there's just a lot of kind of that hustle and bustle that you think about when you think of being in a city. Our Lincoln Center campus, again, is at 60th and Columbus. So that's walking distance from Central Park, from the Theater District and Times Square and Broadway, and Hell's Kitchen. So a lot of our students that choose to move off campus tend to move off campus to the Hell's Kitchen neighborhood. We're also walking distance from the Lincoln Center for the Performing Arts. We're just about a block away from that, in the Metropolitan Opera, as well as the Lincoln Square neighborhood and the Upper West Side. So there's a ton of great things to do, kind of from the 40s all the way to like the 70s on the west side of Manhattan. So really in either direction of Fordham's campus, there's so much for students to immerse themselves in. And then our Bronx campus is located, like I said, in the Belmont neighborhood. It's a very multi-generational neighborhood of the Bronx. Some of the neighbors that we have there are the New York Botanical Gardens, the Bronx Zoo, and Arthur Avenue, which is the Little Italy of the Bronx. So it's kind of those 4 main institutions in the Belmont neighborhood are right there, truly like right kind of around on each perimeter of our on each side of the perimeter of our campus is one of those places, the Botanical Gardens, the zoo, and then Arthur Avenue. So in terms of becoming a New Yorker, we certainly encourage our students to, like I said, immerse themselves in the city. There are so many things for students to do to explore the city, meet new people, attend exciting events. And we really encourage students that even though there's so much going on our campus, to really use the city to supplement everything that we're providing for students on campus. The vast majority of our classes have an experience that gets them into the city. So no matter what class it is or what the subject is, there are so many ways that our professors really encourage and require sometimes some city experiences to kind of get students off campus and get them exploring the neighborhood and really using the city as their classroom. But we also just encourage students to do it for all of the entertainment and culture and art, and the restaurants and the shopping. There's so many ways that students can really immerse themselves in the city and never stop being tourists, even though they become New Yorkers as Fordham students. One of our other kind of mottos is New York is my campus and Fordham is my school. So I think that our students certainly live that out, that New York is our campus. So a little bit about getting around New York City. We have an intercampus Ram van, which is pictured there with some highlights of some of our student athletes. That goes from one campus to the other every half hour. So it's really easy for students to go from one campus to the other, whether it's for classes or they just want to visit classmates or visit the other neighborhood. That Ram van shuttle is really easy. I mentioned that we have a train station. It's about a 25-minute train ride away from Grand Central. That's the Metro North Railroad, which is the commuter rail in New York City. You can also take that past Fordham and go into Connecticut or into Westchester County, right above New York City. And then we also have the subway too. So about 10-15-minute walk from our Rose Hill campus are two different subway lines, the B and the D train, as well as the 4 train. Those will get you into Manhattan on the east or west sides. And then our Lincoln Center campus is about a block away from Columbus Circle, which is one of the major subway hubs in Manhattan. So there are subways, there are so many different subway lines that go into Columbus Circle, excuse me, to allow students to really go in any direction. There's other these are some other just general tips for, again, the encouraging of students to get into the city. A lot of students don't have class all 5 days of the week. So many of our students choose to explore the city on free museum days, or again, go to the zoo or the botanical gardens, go to events that are sponsored on campus and off, and obviously also to use New York City for some career exploration. So whether it's internships or job shadowing, that's another excellent way that students really get involved in New York City. I also wanted to share a list of just some general resources to learn more about Fordham and our academic offerings. So you can, again, follow us on social media, check out our website, and connect with your admission counselor. So that's kind of a general overview of all things Fordham as it relates to New York City. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Olivia, is there, I think you talked a little bit about the T in Boston, but when students are going off campus, what's the easiest way? You also mentioned that Boston is really walkable. What's kind of the easiest way for students to go from Emmanuel's Fenway area to other parts of town?
Yeah, it's definitely the T or walking. So we are in a nice part of the city that you can pretty much walk downtown in about 25 minutes. So from where we are to kind of Newbury Street, Prudential Center, getting closer to the financial district, which is kind of technically downtown, like I said, is a pretty short walk. And Boston, like I said, is very walkable. The sidewalks are really wide. It's definitely meant for walking. From where we are in the city, you could basically just take a straight shot and walk through the whole thing. You could walk all the way to the ocean if you wanted to, and it really wouldn't take you that long, which is nice. But other than that, yeah, the T is really popular. There's a few different lines. It's definitely really easy to acclimate to if you're not from a city. It's not too overwhelming. Like I said, Boston isn't big kind of geographically, which is nice, but the T will take you up to Cambridge. It'll take you out to Brookline and kind of out towards Brighton, which are, other kind of little parts of Boston, but a little bit farther west than right downtown. But yeah, those will pretty much take you, like I said, out west. They'll take you right to the subway, out to the ocean that way. Towards the east, so super easy to get around. Boston is known for being difficult to drive through because the streets are not on a grid. They're all just kind of wiggled around and, on slants and diagonals and things like that. So students at Emmanuel cannot have cars unless there's a kind of special circumstance. But what I like to tell students is, you probably don't even want to bring the car. Don't even think about it. Don't worry about it. I live in Boston. I have my car here and I rarely ever use it. Honestly, I pretty much walk everywhere. Because like I said, it's easy to get around and things are never too far away, which is nice.
Great. Well, there aren't any questions, so Olivia and I will just pass it back to John to close out our event tonight.
Thank you so much. Y'all did a wonderful job. And thank you all for coming to hang out with us this evening to find out about some great colleges around the country. If you do want to record at this event, go to strivescan.com. You'll see a listing for that as well. Other than that, have a great evening, and we'll see you all again really soon. All right, great job, everyone.